Ladies and gentlemen, in this video I will be showing you the worst thing that you have ever seen in your life. That's the introduction. I would like you to know that I am not responsible for how this video makes you feel. If this video makes you want to scream, cry, barf, pee yourself from laughter, I am not responsible. I have a playlist on this channel called How to Lose at Chess. I spent 20 minutes trying to prove that the game I'm about to show you wasn't real. That it was corroborated, you know? That there was insider trading going on between the two people that played it somehow, that they knew each other, that they faked the game. No, what I'm about to show you is horrific. It is shockingly appalling. It is disturbing. It is just sit back, relax, and enjoy. Like I said, this might give you motion sickness, our protagonist's stomach pains, vomiting, I don't know, vertigo. Just watch. Our protagonists are two people from the United States and the Netherlands. For the United States, we have a golden retriever because I think that is the only fitting description for how the person with white played chess. And for black, we have the famous footballer Robin, because I don't know anything else about the Netherlands except stroopwafels and King's Day. E4, E5. And I would like you to look at this position because this is the most popular chess position that exists. And it is also the last time in this game a logical move was made. When I take a sip of my coffee, it's 4 p.m. I probably won't even be sleeping, but I'm going to need it for this game because it's going to numb my pain. And now I would like to show you this game. And a friendly disclaimer that this is one of the first How to Lose at Chess videos you make. Understand this is all in jest. Chess is hard. We're all going through it together. I don't actually make content genuinely insulting people. But for this game, they should be insulted. White plays knight to c3. Now, I know what seasoned chess players of this channel are going to say. They're going to say, Gotham. That's a Vienna. This is a Vienna opening, yes. But this is garbage. I don't know what that is. That is you learning that you need to put 2 pawns in the center of a board in a chess game. But forgetting that there is a person on the other side who can take one of those pawns. Now, conveniently, that person who can take one of those pawns also doesn't know that they can take one of those pawns. So that's going to be a bit problematic for sure, okay? That's going to make things quite challenging if you're not going to be taking free pawns. Beginners very often just have massive blind spots when it comes to pawns in the center of the board. Black here plays a very powerful move, a move that you can't even begin to come up with. Knight to e7. That is not where knights ever go, almost. They should be coming out to the center more and not blocking the bishop. White, of course, now can start taking some pawns and getting a good position. But I actually don't hate White's next move. It is knight to f3. 2 knights in the center. White is showing their opponent, I know where to put my knight, and you don't. And the person playing with black is going, why are you talking like that? You're not even from the UK. Knight to f3 played, black plays the powerful, knight to f6. Sorry, that was a Freudian slip. That was a Freudian slip because you're supposed to put the knight on f6. Instead, black plays the powerful f6. Now, again, this is one of my favorite mini games to play in the How to Lose at Chess series, which is try to guess White's next move. Because I got news for you. I actually don't think it's possible. I know I do this a lot, and people comment like, oh, that's the move that I thought. No, I don't think a single person watching this will actually guess White's next move. Of course, here with White, again, you should take the pawn, but let's just forget that that can't happen. You know, maybe you develop the bishop, whatever. But White here plays 92. Why? Why 92? Why that move? You saw that they had it, so you wanted it too? That's not even the right knight. That knight was supposed to go there. You have now wasted a move with this knight going here. Oh, goodness me. And somehow, now black wakes up, like becomes sentient, like a robot that just like awakened and goes, wait a minute, I have free will. I can take pawns. Pawn takes pawn, attacking the knight, which you stopped guarding. Now your knight is hanging. Actually, here, white makes a good move. Knight to, I mean, a good move as far as we're concerned, okay? Fine. Good. Knight to h4. And now black is like, oh, I can take the other pawn too. And that's what they do. They took 2 pawns. They chop, chop. The best move was pawn to g5. Simply trapping the knight on the edge of the board. It can't come back. It can't go here. But I digress. Now, obviously, white takes back in the center of the board. Knight takes d4. And now we have a little bit of clarity. All right, now the center has opened up a bit. Obviously, since neither side is following good principles. Hey, by the way, if you're watching this and you're 100, 200, don't be discouraged. Just stop playing like this. Watch a little bit of the slow run that I'm doing. Watch some beginner content. You'll get to like 500 in no time. This is hilarious. This looks like 2 5-year-olds playing, you know, bumper cars. Yeah, you know. Anyway, knight c6. Don't hate this move. Offering a trade. Now here, the best move for white is the only check that white has, which is queen to h5. Anytime the opponent moves an f-pawn and leaves a king in the center, anytime an f-pawn is moved with a king in the center of the board, the king is weak, all right? You always should be on the lookout for these checks, and the idea there is that you would then sacrifice this knight. That is the idea. You would sack the knight and go for the rook, or even go for the king. Now, knight c6, knight takes c6, and here, knight c6 played. Black has a knight literally defending the knight. Like, that is a move you don't even think about. There was another move here, which is taking the queen first. White's king then takes and loses the right to castle as part of the rules, and has to stay in the center of the board. But if you don't see that, because the board is really big, it's a big place, I get it, you don't see that, you just take back the knight. What you don't do is this, okay? So the knight just took a knight, right? It just went here. What you don't do with black is go, ooh, check! Because now, not only have you given up a knight and haven't even taken it back yet, the knight that you could have taken that you didn't takes your bishop. You just went from being up 4 points of evaluation to down 4.7. Why? Why? This is like running across a 7-lane highway because you saw, I don't know, what do people like nowadays? Are Labubu still a thing? Like, I don't know. You just... Why? Why? Bishop to b4 check. Why? Why? Okay, now you're just down 2 pieces. Now black goes queen e7. How did you make such a beautiful, controlled, and logical move on the last move? Goodness me. Okay. As we know from this series, this is just the beginning. White plays a3. Nice little move. Just a nice little defensive move. Just spotting the nice pawn to 8. Good. Black plays e3. Aggressive. Not particularly good because obviously there is this. White takes, and now white has a 6-point material advantage, and black has developed nothing. Again, a situation here arises with black where, of course, we have the very natural castles. We should develop a knight. We should develop a bishop. What we shouldn't do is play the move pawn to h5 for 2 reasons. Number 1, it doesn't do anything. I think the idea was to play bishop here, attacking the queen, defended by the pawn. I think. I don't know. I haven't spoken to the person, but I think that was the idea. The problem with this move is that it weakens a square. Anytime you move a pawn, especially in chess, a pawn, it stops guarding something. When you move a queen, it still sees where it came from. A pawn doesn't. A pawn only looks forward. It's an optimist, all right? It doesn't look backwards. So knight to g6 here would simply win another piece. Instead of that, white plays the far more superior knight to f5, simply losing the knight in 1 move. Just hanging the knight completely. No questions asked. Black decides that the best thing to do when faced with a situation where you can take a knight for free is instead to move the queen, blundering a pawn and a queen fork in the process. So everybody knows that when you can take 3 for nothing, it is better to give up 10 instead. That's logic of a sophisticated player. But joking aside, it's actually a very common beginner mistake to attack something and not think where it's going to move. If you want me to be less sarcastic and simply focus on the instructional, you should watch my slow runs, as these videos are therapy sessions for all chess players worldwide. And many attempts at being funny, at, you know, to soft launch my stand-up comedy career or sit-down comedy career. Ha 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 ha! Anyway, knight takes pawn simply wins the queen. Of course that doesn't happen. Instead, we attack the queen and we follow the age-old logic of maybe they won't see that. maybe they're not going to see that. Well, if we had taken the pawn, you know, that wouldn't have even mattered. Anyway, the queen goes to d6, and white plays bishop to d3, and black ultimately capitalizes on moving the pawn to the h5 square and attacks the white queen with the move bishop to g4. Now we have queen d2. Okay, getting out of danger. Black should probably develop the knight. There is a pawn fork here attacking both knights. Doesn't quite work. Doesn't really matter. Black now develops, or doesn't. Black just plays queen e5. But as long as you're not blundering something, I'm okay. White plays h3. The bishop is under attack by a pawn. That means the bishop should move. Instead, we go here. I don't know why that move was played. I can't actually explain that move, but we take another bishop, and white now has a 9-point material advantage. White is doing quite well. Black responds with queen takes g4. And now white should probably offer a queen trade, or continue to overwhelm with the material, or play bishop to f5, or knight to f5. Or that move. That's also a good move. That's a good move. I sound like a parent that's trying to convince themselves that what their kid just did was good and isn't going to burn the house down. Queen g3 check. Powerful. You can move the king, or you can offer a trade of queens. Good. Black should not trade queens here. Black doesn't have many pieces left. And as we know, when you are faced with a situation where you can trade the queens or not, especially when you're down material, you should then blunder the queen in one move. That is just a pure queen hang. You had no less than 1, 2, 3, and 4 possible retreating moves, and you chose the 5th one. There were others that obviously hung the queen, but evidently, you know. So this is just a free queen, and white would have a 17-point material advantage. White responds with a powerful move, queen e2, defending the bishop against the queen attack, which was already protected, which now is super protected and primed to take the queen on the next move. Which is really convenient because black actually plays pawn to h4 here, and white has protected the bishop, and the bishop can go take the queen, and white plays the move bishop to d2. But as we say, third time's the charm, because black insists that while hanging the queen was bad enough, now they play rook to h5, giving up the queen with a fork and guaranteeing that they lose 14 points of material in the next 2 turns. Like I said, third time is the charm, which is why in this position, white finally long castled, which they should have done a while ago, castling their king. And then for good measure, black gives up the queen one more time. And for good measure, white plays the move pawn to e4, not only not taking the queen for a 5th time, but also blocking the attack forever. Now, if you're watching this video right now and your stomach hurts because you are either laughing, crying, or you ate something bad for lunch, I understand. And when I saw this sequence, I officially started doubting that this was a legitimate game. I was like, there is just absolutely no way. There is no way. There is no way this is real. This looks like a game where you ask ChatGPT to generate a game with its younger cousin. I don't know if ChatGPT has a cousin, but anyway, yeah, I don't know. The rook is hanging though, so that's cool. Anyway, somehow black gets an attack going and takes a pawn. Now white's queen is hanging. White obviously should move the queen, but they don't. They don't move the queen, which is already a bad sign. At least e5 would attack the queen. Maybe I can see white going, oh, I have a discovered attack, just like completely forgetting that, just like forgetting that existed. I can see white just going, I have a discovered attack on the queen. Anyway, the move that white plays is actually super fancy. White plays rook g1. It's actually a very cool move. Very cool. Because the idea is that if you take the rook, of course I take back, and I just lose a rook in one move. Takes, rook takes, queen takes is just simply losing a rook, but white is still completely winning. It's also a cool move because if you take the queen, I simply take your queen. That was pretty fancy. Huh, well spotted. Just kidding. They took the rook. They didn't take the queen for a 6th time. 6. And now black is like, oh my gosh, I got really lucky. I hung my queen one time and only one time. Can you imagine playing with black? Ignorance is bliss. There has never been a greater time to cite that quote, ignorance is bliss. I guarantee black was like, oh my goodness, I hung my queen. Oh, I better make sure that doesn't happen again. Anyway, white plays bishop to f4. White is still winning. Why is white winning? Well, white is still up material, but white is still completely winning because you have 6 attacking pieces in the game. Even though none of them are a queen, together, united, they are more powerful than one. And black's king is in the middle, which means you can still create attacks like pawn to e5 and bishop g6, pinning the queen to the king. So it's still a totally winning position. Bishop f4. Black should now start developing some pieces. Excellent. Developing the knight on the 26th move of the game, as you are taught. If I'm playing with white here, I'm probably putting the knight in the middle, but you can take it. I don't mind. Okay, I also don't mind that move. Now, if I'm playing with black, I probably castle my king, finally. Or that, fine. And now I would castle my king because it's about time. Black sort of castles the king, kind of. They forget that they could also move the king. They were like, hey, rook in the middle would be really nice, so I'm going to do that. What they forgot is they can actually do this. That's fine. They're beginners. Rook to d8, and white plays rook to h4. And now the game is going to get really interesting, because the thing is, with these few pieces, 2 pieces, queen and rook, you can't be blundering them. This is what I always tell my lower rated students. I also always tell them back in the day, anybody that watches this channel, with this few amount of pieces on the board, you are really more responsible for them. Like, you can't just be giving them away, which is why black played rook d6, hanging the rook just for absolutely no reason. There was nothing prompting that move whatsoever. They just lost the rook, leaving them with a queen and 5 pawns versus a rook, a bishop, and a knight. Completely lost position. What you do here with white is you hide your king, you don't let the queen infiltrate, and to be honest, you can even go for ladder mate. Like, you can just go for a checkmate, you can plant your knight firmly in the center of the board, you can still go for the king. The bishop, the knight, and the 2 rooks are devastating, completely devastating. You cannot defend against them. Rook h1, supporting the infiltration. The queen gives a check, and of course, we should run the king to safety, or we could block. That's fine, but in general, be a little bit careful pinning your own pieces and limiting their mobility. Black plays the powerful move f5, simply giving away the pawn, running out down now to 4 pawns, which first white gives this check and then captures. And it is just over here. I mean, knight to f4, knight to d5, rook to e1. You just need to keep the king safe, keep the rook safe, and you win. Black plays d5, aggressive. All right, what do we do here? Maybe pawn to f6, try to go for a trick. Bring the knight somewhere. We need to make sure the king is safe, though. So this move is great because you're actually threatening to take the pawn and fork the king and the queen. It's a fantastic move. Black plays queen c6. I would just give a check. I would just start giving checks because you never know when you're going to be able to win the game. b5. Don't hate this move. Now I would give a check. Let's give a check. You know what I wouldn't play here? You know what move here is so mind-blowing to me? You have so many moves here with white. Probably like 50 legal moves, maybe 35, 40. You know what you shouldn't do here? This. Who authorized this clown to participate in the game? The king is a bozo. He can't do anything on his own. He jeopardizes the integrity of the entire position simply by walking into the middle. What on earth is the king doing participating in this battle? Get your ass into the corner. Get it in the corner. Go sit. No, absolutely not. No, you are just under attack. Get back. King c1. Why? Why is the king trying to participate? Oh my goodness. Now you're just going to be under attack. This is the last chance. You got to get right. You got get back. Get back. Very good. Very good. King b1. Okay, a little too bold, but I understand. We are standing out on the balcony smoking a cigar. Fine. All right? The king is enjoying himself. Now we can get back to business. The queen goes to d4. Now it is time to go for checks. What? 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 That move, it your bishop was hanging and you hung the knight at the same time. Why? For the record, the game could have ended like this. That would have been really cool. If the king hides on the first rank behind everybody, he's safe. Instead of this, we get knight e4, which just, it hangs a bishop with a check, and then probably the knight too, unless you go back. I mean, oh my goodness, queen d3, oh, black is winning. Oh, black is winning. Why? Why did this have to happen? Why did this? Why did this happen? For what? For what? Why? Huh? a4. Now black just wins by pushing the pawn and making a queen. Okay. And push the pawn. And black awakens after some 30 moves and hanging the queen 6 different times. White is just, it's hopeless now. You just play e2 and e1. Game over. Push, push. Game over. That's the end of the game. What do you even do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay. e2. Rook. Ooh! This actually doesn't do anything for the record. You can still make a queen. You can also give a check and then make a queen. You can also play g5, and now something happens here that this one move on its own, if you've watched 22 minutes of this video, this next move made me think this was all hogwash. But here, white played en passant. I was like, a 186? Really? Here's what I think happened. I think black went g5, white clicked on this pawn, because that's what people do, right? They click on pieces, and was like, huh, that's highlighted? Okay, and then that's what happened. That's my theory, because like I said, nothing points to the fact that these people knew each other. Okay, a 186 just popped off with an en passant. We have queen d3 check. King here. Black is now going to convert this position. What? And now white is back in the game. Now white is winning. White is winning. If you just coordinate your pieces and promote the pawn, white is winning again. Why would we push here? There is a pawn with two. It's gotta. Okay, please stop. Please stop. Oh my goodness. Please. No. The king has to go back. Stop running the. Stop. There are two hanging rooks. There are two hanging rooks now. Now black takes. Oh my goodness. Now white is like, wait a minute. I still have a pawn. I'm going to go g7. I'm still winning. I'm still winning. The black here has like a secret, a series of checks that just wins the pawn and wins the rook and wins everything. Queen g1. Fantastic move. Rook h7. And now you simply lose the game here because I have enough checks and I'm going to check you and then I'm going to win the rook and then I'm going to win the pawn. But we have queen f1, king d4. We have queen d1 check. King e4. Now the game is over. Queen here, win the rook, win the pawn, GG. Okay. Queen e1, king d3, queen b1 check is an x-ray. Instead we have queen f1 check. The king goes here, queen e1 check. The king goes here. And black's like, wait a minute. How do I win this? Queen g1. I'm so smart. Now white is like, I'm going to run my king. Now black is like, I'm going to keep giving checks. White moves the king in front of the rook on the same diagonal. Queen b1 check is winning again, but we have queen e1. King goes here, queen d1, king f4, queen d4. Side note, kind of a miracle the game hasn't ended in a draw, like by perpetual check. King forward now would have been the way to go. King f3, it's a pure fork right here. It's a fork. It's missed. King f4. Okay, we have another chance, but now the king is running forward and the position is equal. Oh my goodness. Queen e5 check. The king joins the rook, and now apparently it's a draw. It's a draw because your king and rook are constantly threatening a promotion. And at this point, And at this point, black forgets to give a check, black forgets to give a check. Now you can make the pawn into a queen, and it's check. And then your queen and rook will absolutely obliterate the king, or you can go here and lose the game again. King to h6. Now you have check, and then check, and you simply win. It's a win because the king is here, and this is over. Now you have unstoppable checkmate on the board. Absolutely unfathomable scenes. The only way to continue the game would be to promote to a knight, be to lose the knight, and then lose the game in a move. Oh my goodness, king e6 played, white plays king h6. Now we have check, we have this, and king f5. On the 72nd move of the game, the chess gods smiled upon the American, who promoted to a queen, simultaneously preventing any sort of checkmate, and now is winning. Now all they have to do is give checks. In fact, you can begin a ladder mate procedure. Rook f7, queen e8, rook d7, win the queen. Don't take the pawn. Hunt down the king. King to h6, queen h1, king g7, queen g1. And all of a sudden, the game is a draw. It's a draw. But not without more plot twists. Queen d5. King f8. It's a draw because the king cannot escape. Cannot escape perpetual. And if you try to escape perpetual, there's queen f6 and queen h4, and it is a vortex. So what happens? We have king f8, check, king g7, queen d4, king f7, queen d5, king e7. And in this position, in one final act of magic, the Dutchman did not take a free queen, and instead in this position, played the move queen to e6, blundering the queen instead of taking the queen on the same diagonal, which leads now to white taking the queen and winning the game in just a few moves. Just kidding, white went here, black went here, white went here, black went here, and the game ended with 3 position repetition on the 77th, 80th, and 83rd move. And with that, one of the greatest chess games of all time concluded. And as they say, chess played perfectly is a draw.